Hi everyone, I'm Naman Gupta from zbyte, and today on the third episode of Take on Web3, I have Mr. Ganesh Raju with me. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in, and it's really our pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Naman.
Yes,
Pleasure to be in this as well.
great. So, like Ganesh, you are into the Web3, Metaverse, and NFT space. So, I want to start our session, primarily for the developers, right? The developers who are actual, the real builders of the Web3 ecosystem. Uh, each of these aspects, like say big data, Web3, right, and say the NFT and the metaverse, they are somewhere, do you think, are isolated in a way? They are doing as an ecosystem, as a space, everything is evolving within their own spectrum, right? How do you think we can integrate each one of these, especially the Web3 and the big data, from the developer's standpoint, right? How they can leverage both of these as a technology and build something really meaningful, like a decentralized applications. What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely right. So these are what we call the Web3, especially we call this as an emerging technology, right? So it's a new, it's in a nascent stages. A lot happening around it. People are still, in some terms, also figuring out how this technology will evolve and things like that. There's a lot of
Mm,
new developments that keeps happening, and there's so
mhm,
much changes too. So it is at the moment very agile, Web3 in particular. And there is not proper standards, and even the regulations are still not there. So, but very exciting. So, Web3 in particular is considered to be the next evolution of internet, right?
mm,
When you look at Web3, the whole model for a developer, right? The whole
mhm,
model is completely different because you're talking decentralized. All right.
mm,
In terms of big data, when big data came in, it also revolutionized and disrupted the legacy way of storing data, right? Where it was
mm.
completely centralized, and big data came in, and then they brought in this unstructured data. How do you incorporate social data, social media data,
Yes.
social sentiments into it? So that is a completely
Mhm.
different aspect compared to the olden
Yes.
days of Microsoft databases, Oracle databases, how they stored only corporate private data. Now it evolved into a big data where the public data and public sentiments and social media data came in, and that brought in a different dimensions to it, right? The whole idea,
Correct.
yeah.
So one thing, Ganesh, I mean, see, you're in Houston, right? You're in the US. So, as far as the Web3 is concerned, there's always a voice to a particular ecosystem, right? And sometimes this voice is neutral, which is, I would rather say, is same, is similar in like across countries. But in the Web3, do you think that, as per like the listening that you are, doing from social media, or like say from the developers group, from the developers you meet probably personally, or from the teams that you're probably working in, do you think the voice is same in terms of that, hey, this is the exciting thing that is happening in Web3? Is it the same thing happening in the US as well and in the developing countries as well? Is it the voice same?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, right? So I travel to India a lot. No, last year I was there every single month, so I'm aware of the developments that's happening in India, how the whole development community is. Honestly, my opinion is India is like any other in the even in the previous adoption of any technology. India is little behind compared to what is happening in US in terms of maturity, and that typically
Mhm,
happens the way it how it works. At least personally, what I have noticed is any new technology comes, sometimes it
mhm,
evolves in the Western world, US or UK or all those areas, and the
mhm,
technology grows like this in the Western countries. But when
mhm,
India catches up and gets into the new technology, they
mhm.
start slow, but their growth is like this, right? So
Yes.
That's what I've noticed. Because we have our inherent strength, we are technically very, very strong in India, and we have the youngest people in India. Getting into the technology, that even though there might be a delay, and that is
Hmm.
right now that position in India is we are a little bit behind. But once the adoption happens, it is a straight line, and we catch up and we take, overtake many of the things, and we start leading it. I think that is
Correct.
starting to happen now. US had many things that got started as in the blockchain space, but now a
Hmm.
lot of startups are happening in India, and very, very exciting. Unique ideas are created in blockchain space, and so many startups. I go to all those
Yeah.
conferences. I see majority of Indian startups coming and participating.
Got it. So you just spoke about the new ideas in the blockchain space, right? The developers probably who would be listening to us, or maybe the brands, right? It's not about just that, but what would be the top of your mind, some use cases within the blockchain and the big data? See, when we consider the big data, it's not just isolated in terms of just big data alone. It is data science, right? There's machine learning that is happening. AI has already picked up, right? Web3 is picking up as well, right? So in a way, it is all interconnected. But just on top of your mind, we always have some of the best use cases we always believe in, right? That, hey, this thing can really be transformed or shaped really in a very much more efficient way if this thing can really happen, right? So what is that, few of the top use cases on top of your mind that you can think of right now that could have this amalgamation of the emerging technologies we are just talking about. Yeah.
Right, right. So, no, very interesting point you brought up right now. The big data means big data, right? So
Yeah.
you collect as much data as possible, and then you do
Mm,
analytics on top of it. It is a, yeah, a different way of doing. In Web3, how you do it is, and you store every data in a blockchain, right? But
mm, mm,
Web3, even though with its strength, the strength is decentralized, nobody has any control. But the weakness is uh, the amount of data, the more the data you store, it becomes slower because blockchain is still not
mm.
very optimized compared to the older way.
Yep.
So the latency issue is
Yep.
still there, right? So there is
Mm,
honestly looking at big data and how it integrates with blockchain has not
mhm.
properly done yet, right? So there
Got it.
are ways how people are improving the way the blockchain is working, the speed of
Mm,
and the committing the transactions and things like that. But the AI is a common thing that is connected to big data too, because AI
mm,
needs good quality data, not just big data, good quality data, and a lot of data, right? So, and
mm,
AI is also disrupting along with Web3. So that is a common theme.
mm,
So my point is,
mm,
if someone can bring in the big data concepts into the blockchain and integrate
mm,
using with AI, that will be a disruptive thing. So it is very hard to do
mm,
because there are two different concepts, right? But
mm.
when we want to bring in AI, you got to have a proper data and proper analytics, right? So that
Yeah.
element in blockchain is still a missing piece. Okay, so
Mm,
people are
mm,
focusing on data storage, but analytics in search is still missing. There are some few companies
mm.
which does analytics into NFT space and all of it, right? So not in
Got
general
it.
data, right? So that still is missing.
Any industry who is leveraging both these pie really well, if you could think of any industry per se, be it like say retail or be it any like supply chain or anyone who is leveraging this really well, that you are thinking that, hey, these people are doing some phenomenal job and there's a great way ahead for them. An industry particular?
Yeah, so if you're talking about big data and Web3 combined, I'm
Yes.
not sure if
Yes.
there are many companies, right? So there are companies that is focusing on big data. A majority of companies nowadays are, because
Mm,
comparatively big data is a lot more mature. Data analytics and
mm,
data science is a lot more mature, and AI is also a lot more mature with the big data space. Web3
mm,
is still not mature, right? So Web3 has been predominantly used by B2C companies, not to be
mm, mm,
industrial or B2B companies, where big
mm.
data has been used in both, as well, B2C and B2B too, right? So combination of that has not been done yet. So I'm not aware of anything like that. I haven't seen anything like that yet.
Sure. So since you see, you're in the Web3 and NFT metaverse space as well. On the same side, I'm sure that your keen interest in the big data
Mhm.
would really make you a person who is very much data driven and statistics driven, right?
Correct.
I would like to ask you any such statistic that you have seen or you have, probably seen across that, hey, Naman, this the statistics, the viewers who are watching us probably may not know about, but any probably like a world statistic that is like very, uh, probably very unique and, with you. So yeah, you can probably share that. Any such statistic that is top of your mind right now?
Yeah, so with especially when Web3, people are think of
Yeah.
NFT predominantly now, right? So there are
Mhm.
analytics that has been done around NFT, things like
Mhm.
what is getting sold, what are the comparative things that is happening, right? What is the
Mm,
right price for it? Is there
mm,
any risks in it? And those kind of thing is done. But I think
mm,
personally, Web3, it is in metaverse in particular is a
mm.
lot bigger ecosystem compared to NFT. I think that is
Okay.
just in the initial stages. What will happen in
Mm,
metaverse is all the e-commerce that we are doing, everything will become into
mm.
metaverse, everything
Yep.
tracked in blockchain as well. It could have NFTs,
Yes.
right? All brand
Yep.
placements and e-commerce will happen there. So that has not matured. What I'm seeing is once more e-commerce starts happening, more
Mm,
transactions that gets done there, that is where
mm.
analytics will help a lot. People
Got
looking
it.
at sentiments there, bringing in social, who is coming, what kind of a gamers are coming, what is their age group, where do they come from, what is their
Got it.
background, right? So that along with what are they purchasing in it, right?
Mm,
So, and which area,
mm,
which metaverse they are going in, what is their interest? Are they interested in sports? Are they interested in games in particular? Are they interested in fashion? And that
mm,
kind of
mm,
analytics, I think personally, I'm aware companies like Accenture is doing something
mm,
in where they have built a whole metaverse e-commerce system, and there are
mm,
reports, basic reports. It's still not mature
mm,
enough, in my opinion. Is basic
mm,
basic analytics of these
mm,
sentiments, these all this, but there is a lot more opportunity. Again, a huge
mm.
opportunity to combine this data science and analytical things into the metaverse.
Got it. So what do you think would be that one differentiator, in these different metaverses? I mean, imagine like if a young user is entering into the ecosystem of Meta, their threads, their Instagram, there's Facebook, right? They are itself in a world and they have sort of differentiated in a way that on Facebook, probably their family members are connected. On Instagram, that person's
Right.
friends and colleagues are connected, right? And on threads, it's still evolving, and the target audience that they've got a new chance to still develop their new audience now, right? So they're entering into a world. We can consider this as a world. When they enter into an Instagram, they enter into an aspirational world, what their friends and colleagues are probably doing it, right? They're entering into a world. Now, in the Web3 space, it's metaverses, and all these different metaverses, the brands, they're trying to create a world of its own. What do you think would be the ideal differentiator, not in the initial run, but in the long run, right? I mean, metaverses we are creating for, of course, as a long-term perspective. So, considering that, what do you think would be that one differentiator within these different metaverses that will hold on to users? Because again, for developers, right, who are listening to us, they do want to differentiate. They don't just want to create like a repetitive apps. It's just that putting that, and deploying it onto a blockchain, we'll call it a dApps. They want to create a very different experience. So, what would be that differentiator?
Yeah.
According to
So,
you? Yeah.
metaverse is simply an evolution to social media. Okay, so
Mm,
you were right. Social media creates the network of people, a community, right?
mm,
And
mm,
what metaverses gives is the experience. It's the immersive experience
mm,
layer. It is exactly the same community building, same networking, but with immersive feel. In
mm,
social media, yes, you are connected, posting photos, reading text, but you
mm,
don't have the feeling of you personally being there, which can be replicated in
mm,
metaverse, right? So you go to a conference or you go to a meetup, a personal
yeah.
feeling of you being there and getting a 360-degree feel and walking around it and presenting some experiences. That is what is metaverse. So that's what is the differentiator.
Got it. Definitely. All right. So, any book probably that you may have read recently? See, because I'm asking this because a lot of articles have been written, on the Web3
Yeah.
metaverse space, and it's a lot of bombarding. Plus, it's more like excessive information on some topics, right? But anything in particular you would like to share that, hey, this is my go-to place, or probably this is the recent book that you have learned to understand the concept of Web3, probably like a blog or maybe any newsletter that it's your like your daily coffee thing, along with your coffee thing, right? So anything you would like to mention for the viewers who are watching us?
Yeah, so I'm in a stage in life that there's a lot happening, involved in multiple companies, and they're super busy, right? I
Yeah.
wish I had a time to sit down and focus and read a particular book at least, right? And
Yeah.
maybe it is not just having a time, but also the focus, right? So nowadays,
Yes.
focusing more than few hours is become so tough. But to answer your
Yes.
question, I am
Yeah.
big follower of World Economic Forum, and they are
Okay.
doing excellent job. There is a lot of news that comes in, a lot of white papers. So that is where I get because this is developed by the best of the best in the world. I'm part of
Mm.
it as well, so I do
Wow.
contribute to it, and I get others who are, they publish all this white paper, and that's where I can see new ideas come up, right? So
Mm.
before it is even implemented, and I love reading those white papers.
Amazing. That actually sounds good. I mean, it really clutter down the rest of the stuff that is not so relevant and probably written by just the probably just the new ones or something and not so experienced. So that's a great way. And even, I personally follow a lot of newsletters, to get my source of information in the information excessive world that we are currently living in. But I'm sure that with Web3 and big data, that solution will again come up, and the developers and the people who are marching ahead will definitely come up with some great solutions. So thank you so much, Ganesh, for being here, and this was lovely chatting with you. So much, so many of insights. And if you're watching this, if you have any other questions, the viewers who are watching us, please feel free to drop it down in the comments below, and we would be really happy to answer all these questions. Thank you so much. Let's keep building, Ganesh, and let's stay in touch. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Naman. Really enjoyed talking to you. Great questions. I loved and having conversation with you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.